Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host. It is always a pleasure to come your way, bringing you new paradigms for a new world. We're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m. And during the month of December, we are going to be coming your way 5 days a week from 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific time. So I hope that you will also know that we stream live at all of those times at richarddugan.com. We podcast at SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and many other locations across the internet. And we are on YouTube where you can watch these conversations. I hope you will. You get to know our guests even better because you get to see them and sort of put a face with the voice instead of just the podcast. But I hope you'll subscribe, and at the very least, click notifications so that when a new conversation is posted, you will be able to pick that up and listen to it. We also ask that if you can support us financially, we would be gratefully appreciative. We have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And we ask that you spend some time during the decade of perfect vision, going within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listening to that still, small voice. I think we'll bring that up in the program today with our very special guest who is going to share with us some wonderful insights into something that, and I'll be the first to openly admit that years ago, I thought, you have got to be kidding me. What is wrong with people? Why can they not just accept themselves the way they are? Mm-hmm. Well, I have changed that attitude years ago, several years ago, when I realized, as my guest did, that if you have a problem with the way, especially the way that you look, that makes you not feel so great about yourself, then make the changes you need to make so that you feel good, shall we say, you feel good in your skin. Mm-hmm. Our special guest today is Tracy Crown. She's the owner of Posh Lash and Beauty. Also serves as a seasoned med spa consultant, among so many other things. And I want to welcome you, Tracy, to our program today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
This is a subject that is, as I said before, for years, I'm going, come on, are you kidding me? I'm not doing anything to myself. I have to deal with when I was a teenager, the acne, and then of course the pock marks as I got into my 20s and 30s, my height, my weight, the hair color, all of this stuff is that's me. That's just me. And I just accepted that. And right. I look back, especially on a dental procedure where they removed, you know how they go in and they take all your wisdom teeth, they took mine all at once. Mm-hmm. And then they found 2 abscess teeth. And they said, you have a choice, Richard. You can take out the teeth that are in position and realign the abscesses, because they were the adult teeth. And you'll need to wear braces for maybe a couple of years. Now, again, I was like 19 or 20. I opted to have the abscess teeth removed. Mm-hmm. And today I wish I had gone the other direction.
For sure.
And of course, hindsight being what it is, but women in particular, for a lot of different reasons, do not feel comfortable in their skin. And you had an experience some years ago with one of your relatives, one of your aunts, and it seems as though cancer seems to affect almost all of us. My present wife had in 2001 a bout with cancer. She's been free and clear of it ever since. But you noticed something. You came across something with your aunt that really triggered all of this, didn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So my aunt was 34 years old, and I'm only 4 years younger than she. So we were very close, almost like sisters. And she was diagnosed with stage 3B breast cancer. She had 2 twins and another child under 5 at that time. So me being in my late 20s, early 30s, I was concerned with how she was going to look and feel, as well as all of the other things that as a family we had to conquer with her new diagnosis, taking care of the kids, making sure she felt good, bringing her to, but so one night I was trying to find solutions and I came across lash extensions. So she was just that girl with beautiful long blonde hair and lots of lashes and brows. And I said, you know what? I know that she's going to be losing her hair and her eyelashes and her brows during this treatment. How can I help? So that being the why of the moment that I was actually working in an elementary school as a music teacher. And I skipped work that day. I didn't tell a soul that I was going, and I went and I took that lash class that catapulted me into my career and who I am now. So
What is it now? There's obviously, as you very well know, there's a lot of criticism of the whole, and I'm going to use a generic. You used the word already, but the generic term of the beauty industry, from head to toe, and it's not just cosmetic surgery in that respect. And again, I would have to the way we're going to talk about it today. I think cosmetic is maybe an inaccurate word to use in that context because it goes deeper than that. But there's a lot of criticism over the billions of dollars that are spent by some people who, quite honestly, and I know this is subjective, really don't need all of that stuff. I mean, what is it that if you had if you had in your bathroom a counter space and you had a husband and wife or male and female living in there, it's a 6-foot long counter space. The guy has 6 inches at one end and she's got the other 5 feet 6 inches. And that's kind of the criticism. There's so much stuff out there and they're throwing more and more stuff at you through marketing and so forth. How do you differentiate and help people through that particular melees, if you will, saying, look, this is not about them marketing to you, about them trying to have you look a particular way.
Yeah.
This is about you taking care of you.
Right. Well, of course, there's a standard of beauty in the United States, whether you agree with it or not. And the United States is the top consumer of that 500 billion or whatever that insane number is that we spend on cosmetics. First, it's the United States and then Japan and Korea. But even though we spend a lot, it's how we want to come across and how we want to portray ourselves as a person in the world today. The vanity standard or the standard of beauty it's been around since the Egyptians, Cleopatra, and men and women during that era put kohl and pigment on their skin, and it's just been a standard of American culture and other cultures to wear makeup and on your face. But so it always isn't just pure vanity. And oftentimes in my lash studio, I did start with cancer and lashes that fell off, but I've had clients with alopecia. Their brows and lashes start falling off. I had a doctoral candidate that was so stressed out during her finals that she would pull and twist her eyebrows and eyelashes on one side. So come the day that she's celebrating her graduation, she wanted to look a certain way. She wanted that filled in. Also a man. I actually did a man's lashes who was having a photo shoot for Forbes magazine, top men in business, and he just didn't feel he needed a little something. And and because it's an art, that lash extensions, I could customize it and make him too feel and look the way that he wanted to look at that moment in time. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's all based on vanity as far as the beauty standard, right? It's how you
Mm-hmm.
want to perceive yourself, how you want to look, how you want to feel. Beauty and confidence going hand in hand.
And that's really where we're coming from on this particular program, because as we move through this particular program, we're talking about the aspect, as we do quite often on this program, we're talking about aesthetic beauty in fostering self-confidence. We're always discussing working on oneself, and usually it's the internal work. It's I've been through countless personal growth programs. I've read unbelievable number of books that might be under the category of self-help, metaphysical, spiritual, etc., trying to deal with those issues, those traumas, those fears, etc. A lot of that, of course, as you have experienced with your clientele, has been a lot of fear. There are people, men, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that men are also doing a lot of this, shall we say, modifying their appearance for the purposes of feeling better about oneself.
So the
Go ahead.
question is, is it fear, or it might not always be fear of what presentation or how you look or being judged. It can come from another angle of how you want to project yourself,
Mm-hmm.
how you want to feel. Thick lashes, thick hair, it's a sign of a clear skin, white teeth. It's a sign of health and health and wellness, right?
I mean, the whole aspect of the emotional aspects of watching the changes. I myself, if you may or may not have noticed, I'm missing 2 teeth. One of them was because I chose to go with keeping the teeth in my mouth rather than the abscesses and having them realigned. I had a baby tooth in my mouth for a good 62 years. And eventually it went bad, which makes sense. And then I had another tooth I broke on a piece of caramel corn. And I've had both roots removed for the preparation of having implants put in. But believe it or not, in the interim, I'm thinking, I really wish, and I still smile like I normally do, but there's still that uneasiness about a wide smile, And I'm thinking, maybe I'll look into those things I've been seeing on the internet, those veneers, where they'll send you the mold, you make the impression, you send it back, and then you get these veneers back that you snap into place. And of course, I've a couple of dentists saying, no, it's not, you don't want to do that because, and I'm thinking, well, because this is going to eat into your income. And I'm experiencing that sense of a slight sense of a lack of self-confidence in terms of the smile. I mean, I love to laugh. I don't know about you, but I love to laugh. I love watching comedies. I just love talking with people and telling jokes and things of that nature. And it's not as easy. I remember when I first broke the tooth, I had them glue it back in 3 times. So this is something that crosses the gender spectrum. It's not just women that are doing this; men are doing this too. I'm curious as to the percentage of clientele that are male versus female.
Oh, well, in my boutique, it was just a small amount. I'd say that prior to COVID, it was a working woman that came in that had things to do, things to go, places to see, people to meet, but after COVID, it's definitely become a little bit of a younger clientele. But now men come in and they have their brows cleaned up and maybe tinted a little. So there are definitely more men in the industry and coming into the businesses now as well. Mm-hmm.
Now, I started about 5 years ago going to the barber to get my beard trimmed, but I could do it myself. I mean, I have the tools. But one of the things, and to me, this also is part of this aesthetic aspect of taking care of oneself and one's appearance. My wife will go to the nail salon, and she probably could do her nails herself. But there's something about being around other people, not only those who are doing the work,
Sure.
but others who are like, when I go to the barber, they're mostly guys. There is one female barber there, and it's being in that atmosphere. It's having an opportunity not only to be taking care of self, but sometimes it's the conversation. It's sort of that level of acknowledgement. What are your thoughts in that regard to taking the time to go to places such as Posh Lash or a barber or a salon or what have you, for the experience, even though, yeah, I could do this myself?
Yeah. That was always a top concern of mine being a business owner, how we treated our clients. The why was always there, that we wanted to be with and for women and help them look good. One time a skin rep came in and said about my business, forget Disney. This is the happiest place on earth. Because just, yeah. To speak with other women and just to laugh, that's the beauty sometimes of your day, especially now if you're doing your work in your home and feeling a little bit isolated. The salons and barbershops and beauty services are certainly a place that brings joy and happiness to people, for sure.
We're talking with Tracy Crown. We're talking about the work that she has taken on as her vocation, if you will, to teach the next generation to appreciate beauty in many different ways. And we're talking, of course, about the balancing of aesthetics versus self-care and so forth. I want to talk about the spiritual connection. It's interesting too. You mentioned, for example, the Egyptians and Cleopatra and so forth, and others. And in many instances, much of some might call it body art, whether it's piercings, whether it's the way they do their hair, whether it's face painting or tattoos, if you will. It's part of the culture. In many instances, it can be part of the ritual and or ceremony that takes place within a culture. And I am utterly amazed and awed by individuals who are willing to put themselves through that pain, specifically of tattoos. But I'm in awe of them willing to use their bodies as canvases. And of course, those who actually do the artwork on the skin. I mean, those are incredibly talented people.
Incredibly.
And everybody does this for different reasons. But let's talk a little bit about that spiritual connection to doing the things to self that give that sense of well-being and even a sense of gratitude for being here, for being a part of society, for even sharing these wonderful outer attributes that they've had done.
Well, I certainly believe in a divine creator. There's so much more to beauty and spirituality, and noticing things that are beautiful. The sunsets, the ocean, the mountains. I just moved from Boston to Tennessee, and it was like a whole new world of fields and horses, and and I made it very clear to my daughter, because I think as I've gotten older, I've noticed more in nature and beauty. I make sure that I teach my 13-year-old that look at this, look at how beautiful this, how does this make you feel, right? Because beauty makes you feel. Beauty evokes this I don't know about you, but this place in my heart that just feels good, and that's the same place of gratitude and love, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about what's going on here in the United States as supposedly the number one country that really pushes the products and services that maybe do you think that maybe especially the advertisements tend to not uplift the individual who's watching the ad, but actually make that individual feel as though they're not enough if they don't have that product, if they don't have this particular thing done, that kind of thing? To me, that's the backwards part of all of this.
Right, for sure. I mean, what do you think is America's standard of beauty right now? I would say the Kardashians, right?
And the irony there, Tracy, is I'm sorry, I do not find any of them attractive at all. But that's me. I'm 63. I'm an old guy.
Yeah, well, I think you have a lot of people that feel the same way. I mean, and they're certainly cosmetically enhanced.
Yeah.
And you do have that. You have the influence from Hollywood, and the social media. Like I told you, I had a 13-year-old, and that's what she sees: constant, measuring herself against somebody who appears to be perfect, right? So that's my next initiative, and I think that especially after COVID, people have really put an attention on individuality. I mean, I went into Target for the first time in a while, and I saw a model with lots of freckles covering her whole face. Or you see even a model, Winnie Harlow, who's got the skin, I think it's an autoimmune disease actually, but and she's still a beautiful girl. And in Target, I saw the underwear models that were a little chubby, or a redhead with their lashes and brows were almost so light that you couldn't see them. So I hope that I'm able to teach my daughter and her friends and the women in America acceptance and natural. And I think that's happening. That's a big movement: organic skincare, and just really learning how to love yourself.
You bring something up, Tracy, that I'd like to touch upon. And I will preface this by saying that I mean no disrespect to anybody with what I'm about to raise as a subject. And B, it's a concern of mine and even my wife, but I'm hoping it's a concern of other people too, about what becomes acceptable, specifically here in the United States, in our society. You mentioned how you're seeing these different conditions that people have, the freckles or the different skin conditions and so forth, but you also mentioned a person with lingerie. And I'm noticing more and more and more advertisements with heavy women. Now, It has nothing to do with their appearance that I'm concerned about. It has to do with their health.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the woman who played in the, what was that? I can't even remember the name of the television show, but she was a singer. It was about family and so forth, and just a big girl, and had a beautiful, beautiful singing voice, absolutely incredible. And I'm thinking, how long is she going to live? Because she's carrying around so much weight. That's so much pressure on her internal organs, especially her heart. So this has nothing to do with her appearance. This has to do with her health. You're dealing with people and helping them to have a healthy mental self-image, self-love, and acceptance. And okay, so maybe this woman has accepted, this is me, this is who I am, I'm a heavy person and so forth. But the individual is accepting a very unhealthy condition for their bodies. Can you talk to us a little bit about that perspective?
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation on choices, on personal choices, or, if she's going to choose to go to a doctor and, have medical care for that. But it comes down to personal choice, right? Going back to the teeth, I have a hole in my mouth too, but I chose to have that tooth taken out and not replaced because of health reasons. I didn't want I'd love to have that big beautiful smile too, but I don't want that piece of steel in my skull, frankly. So, personal choices.
Yeah,
Choices for sure.
certainly. And I certainly can understand that. And I am I was interviewing a gentleman once. We were chatting away and I shared my observations, and he says, well, maybe you might look at it this way. And he shared his observation, and I pondered that for a few seconds, and I'm going, okay, I can burn that hut down. I can burn that one down too, and that one, and if I have to burn them all down and start over again, I will, because I'm still working at trying to understand all of this and put it into the context that it deserves, if you will. So yes, I certainly can understand personal choice. I guess that my concern is that the marketing end of everything seems to want to make it the norm, that it's okay. And that to me is a concern, because you're making unhealthy bodies an okay thing. I can't believe the number of advertisements. I happen to have type 2 diabetes, which I kicked once and I'm working on kicking it again. But I'm astounded. When I was a kid growing up, you hardly ever heard about type 2. Type 1, of course, you're born with, as far as I understand. But type 2, that's something that you can control and reverse. But it's amazing today, the all of the different treatments, and I can't seem to get a straight answer as to what I should and shouldn't eat anymore. It's like, today bananas are okay. Nope, tomorrow bananas are not okay. Today coffee's okay. Tomorrow coffee's not okay. So I guess that's my concern is the marketing end of all this, the advertising end of all of this is saying, no, it's okay. It's okay to do this. And again, going back to, as you've well stated, personal choice. That is very, very important to recognize and acknowledge. And it's hard for me to support that kind of a choice, and I don't have to like it, but that's that person's choice. And I hope you live a long life with that choice, just like I hope I live a long life with the choices that I've made.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
What about other elements that you add to? Now, you talk about making your salons, your med salons, the happiest place on earth, like Disneyland. What are some of the things that you incorporate into these facilities, the brick and mortars, if you will? to foster not just the happiest place on earth, but also to foster that sense that this is a safe space for you to come in, and you can talk to us about anything, and we'll listen and we'll do what we can, because I know you can't do everything there. What are some of the other things that you incorporate?
Yeah, good question. So as a business owner, I often talk about the culture in the salon, but I teach my girls, just like I teach my daughter, how to have open conversations. You won't believe how many young girls come to me and they can't carry on a conversation,
Mm.
right? So and oftentimes I have to role play with my girls. How do you speak? Make sure you say hello, right down to the basics of you greet someone, you smile at them, you have eye contact. So I think that even teaching that and teaching that to my daughter, I told you I had a 13-year-old, is very important. But I think also being genuine, a genuine person, like really understanding what you're doing for your client and why your client's there, and the why. The why. Why is somebody coming to you? Why does somebody trust you, your hands, and their face?
Mm-hmm.
So those are just really important points that my staff and I talk about, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think hands, face, and feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I'm curious as to if you have many, if any, men who come in because I actually did go with my wife. I can't remember if it was back when we were living in Phoenix or after we moved here shortly. I would go in and she, well, why don't you get a manicure too? And I thought, oh, sure, why not? I could do my own nails, but why not, And then, of course, she's joking around about putting colored nail polish. No, 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 no. We're not going there. Sorry, that's not. That's a little beyond my comfort zone. But I did allow them to put clear, so that at least they looked nice. Okay. And it did feel better. It did. But it's the feet that I have a problem with in terms of, both the pain that one might experience while as they're digging around down there trying to trim the nails and get the cuticles and all that kind of stuff, but also maybe the potential for the ticklishness. But the one thing I do love about that experience is when, after all of that is done, they actually will massage you almost all the way up to the knee, roll your pants up and so forth, from the toes all the way up to just below the knee. And that felt really good. And
We're taking care of yourself.
yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. I'm curious as to how often you treat yourself. Obviously, you have all these salons. You go into any one you want and have them take care of you. Because again, you probably know how to do all of this stuff, but it's a whole lot nicer to have somebody else pamper you.
Mm-hmm. What's that saying when there's a saying like that the carpenter will fix everybody else's houses in there? Well, at times I've neglected myself as well, but I like to go get a regular manicure. I don't wear the long nails anymore, but I still like to go and have a moment of peace and relaxation from your busy day. And I don't do many massages, but at one time, and now, but at one time, right, when
Mm-hmm.
I did a long detox of heavy metals and that holistic journey for myself. I did a lot of massages to, for my own health, but certainly taking care of myself is probably something I need to do a little bit more, but I definitely like to partake and get my hair and nails done. I don't do my lashes anymore, unfortunately, but
Mm-hmm.
I did love that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's important. It's important me time.
It's as important to take care of the outer body as it is the inner body.
Mm.
Do you offer any information, guidance, counseling, et cetera, in regards to nutrition? Because that can play a large, have a large effect on the outer body.
Yeah. Well, that's a big bone of contention in the beauty world right now, as weight loss is filtering its way into salons and medical spas. The nurses are now able to prescribe Ozempic or semaglutide. So that's a big, in the beauty industry right now, they're saying, is it our place or not? Personally, I'd like to leave that up to a nutritionist and a medical doctor, but
Mhm.
it's seeping its way into medical spas for sure. Hmm.
So you don't go to that level at this particular point.
I don't. No, I think that needs to be handled by a medical doctor or a nutritionist.
What
Yeah.
about innovations? Are there any that have come about or that are coming in that you might be aware of, or maybe are at the forefront thereof of something new to offer in regards to helping people to feel better about themselves?
Yeah, I mean, like I touched on before, a lot of people are loving the organic skincare and making sure the skin is your biggest organ, and making sure that what you put on your skin nowadays is not toxic. These cosmetics used to be made in China, and oftentimes, I think that us as a nation, there's a lot of allergies, and there's a lot of you know psoriasis and underlying conditions that putting toxins on your face certainly won't help. So organic is the new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Organic skincare, yeah.
Yeah.
Natural solutions.
Yeah, I've often wondered why anybody would put anything in their body, even topically, that has the word tox in it. It's like Botox,
Yeah.
toxin, toxic. It's like, oh, all right, fine. Again, going back to personal choice, I understand, but it's like,
Mhm.
really? Okay. All right, there you go. You mentioned something earlier too, in reference to COVID. How important is it to maintain self-care, especially during those kinds of times, but also maybe even during times when one is ill or is maybe going through maybe going through chemo and those kinds of things, or maybe it's just got the flu and what have you, and just does not feel good at all. Is that something where maybe the flu, you just have to let yourself go through it, and then after that's over, as opposed to chemo, you don't feel great in the first place? I mean, it just
Mm.
I've only watched my wife go through chemo 22 years ago. I would not wish that stuff on my worst enemy. But yet at the same time, there is, especially in women, there is still that that need, that want, desire to look good, to have a good appearance.
Mm. And feel good. One of my favorite places is one of those float tanks and sauna facilities. Boy, I think you know in the beauty industry, we had to be really careful because we're working 12 inches away. But when I don't have the flu, I go right to the float tank and a hot sauna. That's my
Mm,
favorite thing to do. Mm-hmm.
sort of burn it out.
I love that. Yeah.
That's another aspect too. My wife and I, for I don't know, several months, a few years back, and maybe it was almost a year, once a week, we had a standing, and this was something that was offered by one of our advertisers, and it was very gracious of them. we would go in for a couple's massage, and then they had those infrared saunas, you know, and and it was really quite nice. It was a wonderful experience. I personally have only been through one of these, and that is we were with a group of people, and they had a sweat lodge. And we went into the sweat lodge, and we were going through the process and so forth. I was unable to make it through to the end, unfortunately. It was just a little too warm for me. But to me, it seems as though these are some of the things, like I say, the sauna, that not too many people really know about, in terms of that, because that's a whole body impact that can really help the skin, I would think, in particular, to help to pull out the toxins. Is that?
Oh yeah, red light therapy, the light therapy, that's a new innovation, and that's often used inside the saunas, red light and ice baths. Have you tried an ice bath yet?
That is not something I've tried. No, that would be a hard one. We've seen athletes who will get into those big old ice tubs of ice. I did not realize that was a thing. Although I've watched videos of the Polar Bear Club.
Yeah.
It's sort of kind of like that. Now, do you go back and forth between those, or is that something you just do? Because I'm not sure what that would do to the heart and what have you, as far as jumping back and forth between hot and cold.
Oh yeah, Wim Hof with the ice baths. It's supposed to help with lots of things. I haven't done it either yet, an ice bath. I go hot before I go cold for sure. No cold for me.
Talk to us about this. By the way, folks, we're talking with Tracy Crown. She's with poshlash.com, and we encourage you to check her out. She's also got a website coming up called tracycrown.com, and we hope to be able to link to that once it's ready and available for you. But poshlash.com is the website. I wanted to ask you, because this is a big deal for anybody, myself included, in terms of this aspect of creating a brand that goes, in your case, goes beyond aesthetics, which are extremely important, to probably the most important, and maybe at the top of the quote unquote pyramid here, empowerment. To empower not just you, but also the people that are with you and not only work for you or work with you, but also who come to you.
Right. Sorry about that. The self-confidence, the self-confidence, and that lashes. What I saw in the beginning of my career, that these little things on your face, 10-millimeter strands of hair and lashes and brows, just really helps define your face. I mean, there was a trend a little while back when the models were shaving off their eyebrows. Well, that did not look good at all. Right. And it's just an amazing how people fell in love with these lashes and work on their brows. So I also have created a career path for my girls that I hope can teach them how to be great businesswomen, teach them how to, like we talked about before, how to be good service providers and just provide an exemplary service, but that also, maturing into a woman and the kind of person that people want to be. Right. I'm almost 50, and I would say that the last 2 or 3 years have been, such a spiritual, like, relearning and really opening and studying and seeing who you really are. So, that's an important aspect of a woman's journey.
And I know that stereotypically, forgive me, Women don't usually care about what the cost is. The guy does. I know I do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I'm going, well, if she feels better about herself, all right, then it's worth it. And no, I'm not going down the road of a happy wife, happy life. I'm happy regardless, but I want her to be happy. I want her to feel good about herself. And so, as often as we can, she'll make an appointment. We'll go down to the nail salon and she'll sit there for 45 minutes to an hour. I'll go down to the Starbucks and have my drink and sit there and maybe sit outside and just enjoy nature. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll make my appointment for my barber beard trim and so forth. And even in that context, they're doing some things that you wouldn't think that a barber would do. They will massage your face. There's one guy, actually all of them use the electric massager. They'll do it on the shoulders and the back and the neck, and even they'll have a small one they'll do on the face, all around the forehead and around the chin and the cheeks and so forth. And then they'll use a hot towel. They'll put I don't know what it is, lotion or what have you on the face, and then they'll put a hot towel. They'll leave it there for about 5 minutes. There's just something about that is really kind of nice. It's for a lot of guys, it's a whole new experience. You know, it's like, oh, really? Okay, or fine. And in the case of some places that have maybe have a liquor license, want a beer? Sure, why not? You know, I'm not doing anything but having you trim my beard. But there's just something about that whole atmosphere for both men and women that makes you feel really good. Makes you feel good to be pampered, I guess is the right word. And would you say that it has gotten to the point now where it isn't pampering anymore? There's almost a certain level of essentialness to it.
For sure. But also, there's the lipstick effect that even in a downturn economy, women will still pay for small luxuries. A red lipstick, that's a thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that, and for myself, my first wife and my present wife, to be honest with you, my first wife didn't need makeup, and my second wife doesn't either. I mean, they're both just naturally beautiful. However, their personal choice is, at least with my second wife here, my present wife, she chooses to use a little. She doesn't use much, but she chooses to use a little makeup, and that's fine, you know. But from my perspective, and I've said this to her on numerous occasions, is do it for you. Don't do it for me, okay? But do it for you. You are the important one, okay? From that standpoint, what are your thoughts philosophically on the dynamics, if you will, in a relationship? If with someone who accepts the other for just the way that they are, but at the same time, if they want to make changes, hey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, you know. Feel free to do whatever you want, but know that whether you do it or not, I love you just the same.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful thing, love and acceptance in a relationship, right? But for me personally, I like people to see me see me a certain way. I like to look put together, and I like sometimes for my lipstick to match my outfit. That's how I want to be seen. My 13-year-old, one time she was having a problem in school, and I said, one of the girls called her fat, and she's certainly not fat. She's thin. But I said, she's like, Mama, I just wish that I looked differently. I made her, I stopped her and I made her really think about it. I said, okay, let's say you're the most beautiful girl in the world. Is that going to make you happy? And of course, oh, yes, that's what I want to be. I said, let's think about that. No, it's not about how you look on the outside. It's not about how others judge you. It's how you want to look, and I've just stuck with that my whole life. How you want to be perceived, how you want to look and present yourself in the world. Yeah.
Well, I know that my outward appearance has been this way for, I don't know, 17, 18, maybe 20 years. I wear the hat. I shave my head, and I did it back in 2001 for my wife in solidarity. And I continue to do it because I like the way it looks. I wear my father's vest because it's something that honors him in that regard, and that's the way it looks. But I've even had people ask me where my horse is. But I like the look. When I look in the mirror, I like the way that I look. And it's not like I'm trying to impress anybody or be somebody that I'm not. It's just that I just like the look. So you're the same way, and most everybody is. They choose the style of clothing and hair and so on and makeup, so forth, that they choose, that makes them feel good. But if you're doing it for someone else, and you made the comment that you like to have the lipstick match your outfit because that's how you want to be seen. But you're not doing it for other people. You're doing it for you, right?
Yeah. You do it for yourself. And
that's the focal point here, isn't it? Is that if you're going to make any kind of changes to your outward appearance, like you shared with your daughter, you've got to do it for you. Don't do it for someone else, because you don't know how long that person's going to be around you. People come and go in our lives. And what are you going to do when that person leaves? Tracy Crown is my guest. Poshlash.com is the website, and coming soon to an internet location near you, tracycrown.com. Tracy, this has been a very interesting conversation. Is there anything that maybe I've missed that we haven't talked about yet that you'd like to bring up in the context of this conversation before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I think we touched on a lot of beautiful points here, as and teaching this next generation to appreciate the beauty in so many different ways, nature and the beauty of your soul and the beauty of being happy, right? Of being happy, and teaching the aesthetics is not to be judged by others, but self-care and self-love and feeling good from the inside out. That's my mission.
That's really what we're shooting for on this program, is that we want people to be happy. Now, I realize our founding fathers, I think they screwed it up. They gave us life and liberty, or the inalienable rights of life and liberty, but they didn't give us happiness. They said, you can pursue it. And that's kind of like putting a carrot out on a string on a stick in front of us, and we're just chasing after it forever. Actually, I believe that it is possible. We can have those moments, if hopefully longer than that, of happiness, that we feel good about ourselves, who we are, both on the inside as well as on the outside. And I'm quite pleased and grateful that you are there to help folks to make that wonderful transition into from aesthetic beauty into self-confidence, or maybe the better word is empowerment.
For sure. Yes.
I do have 3 final questions that I want to ask you, that I ask all of my guests at the end of the program. But before I do, I want to thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, as we are giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and through the month of December, we will be here from 8 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday. That's right. And we'll be streaming live at those times at richarddugan.com. We are on podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and many other locations. We are on YouTube where you can watch these conversations, and I certainly hope that you will subscribe and at the very least click notifications so that the next conversation that's posted, you'll be notified and you'll be able to listen in. We also ask that if you can support the work that we are doing financially, we would be gratefully appreciative. We have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And when they ask you to whom to send the contribution to, the support, it is richard@richarddugan.com. That's the email address, richard@richarddugan.com. We also ask that you spend time going within and listening to that still small voice, which I think would be extremely important, especially if you are considering, as we've talked throughout this program with Tracy Crown about going within and getting some guidance, getting maybe some inspiration, some insights into maybe why you want to make these changes. Yes, if it makes you feel better and gives you that confidence, go for it. But a lot of times, sometimes we make changes because we're doing it for someone else. So make sure you're doing it for you. And spend that time in that quiet, still, calm, peaceful place, listening to that still small voice. Mm-hmm. And with all of that, Tracy, I can't thank you enough for the insights you've given me in our conversation here on the program. And those three questions start with the first, and that is, who is Tracy Crown?
Well, I told you I was almost near 50, and it's taken me a long time to figure that out. I don't think I know exactly yet, but I know that Tracy Crown is a person that wants to see a lot of people happy. Mm-hmm. Happiness.
What is your life's purpose?
That's the question, Richard. That's the question. For sure. I think it's teaching. It's teaching people that life is full and beautiful. Full and beautiful.
And finally, what was your best day?
I'd have to say when I had my daughter. And today is actually her birthday.
Oh, well, I extend to her a very happy birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's going to have a great day.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard.
That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And again, thank you so much for being with us here on the program. Again, the website is poshlash.com to find out more about the work that Tracy Crown is doing. Inspiration for the people that come to her to help them to move through the process of aesthetic beauty in fostering self-confidence and empowerment, if you will. So I hope that you will avail yourselves of Tracy. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to Lal. Jeanette, I am still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.